It's hard. It's hard to receive feedback. So I want to give you 3 steps, because feedback, when it's hard, is only your amygdala, which is the base of your brain. I won't get into the science of it, but when it gets activated, it's the fight, flight, or freeze syndrome that happens. It has nothing to do with the person who's tripped it in you. It's everything to do with your own experience and some file that was brought forward. Called I'm stupid, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm invisible, I'm going to die ultimately. As crazy as that sounds, that's what that part of the brain is for. And when we get stopped there, when we get stopped in that part of our brain, we don't get access to the frontal lobe. The blood can't make it to the front of our brain, and so, which is where reasoning happens. We can't get access to reasoning, then we stay in this place called reaction. So I'm going to share with you a quick story. This is exactly how I use this, and it took me a long time to get there. It's longer in other situations, but this one happened very recently. I'm at the gym that I belong to, and I went out for a mile run, which was a lot for me. I was taxed. It was hot. I was really taxed. I was struggling like that, right? And I come into the doors, and there's a double door, and one of them is locked. Of course, I grabbed the wrong door. So I go inside, and one of the instructors, we'll just call her Janet, one of the instructors, Janet, happened to be standing there, so I looked at her, I said, "Can you please go unlock that door?" She's like, "Go unlock it yourself." I was kind of jarred by this, and I was like, "Well, I don't know how." She goes, "Well, I'll show you how." And I just kind of ignored her and went on and got my water, and while I was getting my water, she had already unlocked the door, and she told me, "It wasn't so much that you asked me to unlock the door." Really quickly, she gave me this feedback. My heart's still racing. I can't think. I'm ready to kill her. That's what was going on for me. I don't know what trigger she tripped, but she tripped it. All right, so she says, "It's not so much you asked me, it's how you asked me." And I'm thinking, whatever. I'm out. I finished my workout. 24 hours later, big, deep breaths. Big, deep breaths. So I'm just going to write that on the board real quick. When you're reacting, the first thing you want to do is breathe. Anybody ever had that, by the way, just to pause in the story for a minute, anybody ever had that experience where all of a sudden you're ready to kill somebody because they said something that really hurt your feelings? Okay, so the first thing you want to do is breathe. Once you've breathed enough that you can calmly respond, right, then you want to repeat back what you heard them say. Talk about communication, this is where it's at right here. Almost 90% of the time, 10 years ago when I first started learning how to do this thing, I would repeat back, and what I heard was not at all what they said. So what I heard you say is that I came across as rude because you were in the middle of a session with a client and you really didn't have time to go unlock the door. So if I wanted your help, perhaps I could have stopped and done it a little bit differently by doing this. Did I get it? I learned this in Imago therapy. There's a 3-piece question here. What I heard you say is this. Did I get it? Is there more? Ever met anybody who repeats themselves 1,000 times? Constantly, it's like, really? Shut up already. Anybody ever met anybody that repeats themselves 1,000 times? Right, got it. Almost everybody, right? They're repeating themselves because they don't feel heard. The minute they feel heard, they stop, for the most part. And I realize there are some people that persist. But for the most part, they'll stop repeating themselves because they feel heard. How do you have somebody feel heard? So, what I heard you say, Adam, is this. Blah, 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 blah. In your own language, if you parrot them, you'll lose them. It's inauthentic. Be authentic. This, by the way, requires that you be present. That eye contact, that body language will naturally appear. You don't have to think about any of that stuff because you're actively trying to understand what is Adam saying. So Adam, what I'm hearing you say is this. Did I get it? Yes or no? Yes, I got it. Good. Is there more?
No.
And with some people, there's a lot more. They say whatever is more, and you say, okay, so what I heard you say is this. Did I get it? Is there more? Until there's no more. You want people to stop repeating themselves? That's how you do it. And then if you really want to stretch yourself, I mean, guys, this is stretching, 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 stretching. So what makes sense about what you're saying, because let's be real sometimes, nothing about what they're saying makes any sense. But if you really want to stretch yourself, what makes sense about what you're saying is this. How can I do things differently that will have a better impact on you? How can I say things differently, do things differently to have a better impact on you? powerful. So you breathe, you repeat, you make sure that you got it. So here's the final part. So thank you. Thank you for giving me that feedback. As hard as it was for me to hear, it gives me the opportunity to grow. Please give me feedback again, without which I can't grow. But the more you do it, the better you get, the more you get to give it. You don't get to give it unless you're willing to receive it. That's how it works.